Simon and Ted will struggle to persuade others. They had assumed that their tsunami was triggered by a submarine landslide. But they are out of luck. Detailed surveys of the continental shelf around Great Britain reveal no evidence of a landslide. Their next best hope is the possibility that an earthquake on its own could have triggered the tsunami. At the British Geological Survey, Dr. Roger Musson, head of seismic hazards, assesses that likelihood.
We're really driven to the conclusion that it must have been an earthquake that was quite large and produced a tsunami by actually breaking through the seafloor and causing a vertical displacement.
The big surprise is that the seabed off the southwest tip of Ireland is far less stable than commonly imagined, and is the location of an ancient but massive fault line.
We still have this old weakness in the crust here, and it's been suggested that this is exactly the sort of place where you could get an anomalously large earthquake happening.
It's not just an idle theory. On the 8th of February 1980, sensors recorded an earthquake from exactly this area. It was 4.5 on the Richter scale, not enough to lift the seafloor, but violent enough to give fresh impetus to the tsunami theory.
So we know from geological grounds that this is a probable, likely place for getting an extra large earthquake if we're going to get one anywhere around Britain. And we know from seismological evidence that we've actually had an earthquake here, so there is a fault which is moving. It's active. So the idea of putting a hypothetical large historical earthquake in this spot is not so fanciful.
To the oral history of the pamphlets and the geological evidence they've discovered, Simon and Ted can finally add a possible cause. The final piece of their tsunami theory is in place. This now is how they believe the killer wave may have struck 400 years ago. On the morning of the 20th of January 1607, an ancient fault line off the coast of Ireland shifted violently, displacing enough water to generate a tsunami. Moving at close to 100 miles per hour, the tsunami rushed up the Bristol Channel, its force magnified by the high tide and the funneling effect of the geography. As it roared towards its unsuspecting victims, it eroded headlands and pushed huge boulders aside like pebbles. A wall of water up to 10 meters high rushed over the low-lying sea defenses either side of the channel. Now traveling at 30 miles an hour, the killer wave bore down on the villages of Somerset and Monmouthshire. In one giant slab of water, billions of gallons kept coming with terrible violence. The people caught in its path had next to no warning.
And the force of the waters was such that even those who thought they were safe in their houses, they were swept away also. And the numbers of
I'm doubly excited now about what we've found. We've managed to go right round the estuary and we've seen the physical evidence that supports the historical accounts. There's nothing at odds there at all, and everything is very consistent.
whether it's sand on the salt marsh, or it's pebbles in the clay, or it's erosion on the headlands, or boulders piled up in key spots, you go for the simplest explanation, and I can put down most of the signatures we've seen the past week very easily by one wave one process, one point in time. And that's the simplest explanation.
I think it's a colossal event. If it is a storm, it's a big one. But if it's a tsunami, it could be well within what we've experienced elsewhere in the world. We're just not used to it here.